know this. Yeah. In the last days, perilous times will come. Men will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money. Boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful and unholy. Unloving, unforgiving, slanderers without self-control, brutal, despisers of good, traitors and headstrong, haughty, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of Jah. Rastafari, having a form of godliness but denying the power, and from such people turn away. Know this, in the last days perilous times will come. Men will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, unloving, unforgiving, slanderers without self-control, brutal, despisers of good, traitors and headstrong and haughty, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of Jah. Rastafari, having a form of godliness but denying the power, and from such people turn away. For of this sort are those who creep into households and make captives of gullible woman, loaded down with sins, led away by various lusts, always learning and never able to come to the knowledge of truth. Yeah, know this, know this, know this. Sing on, oh barren, you have not born, break forth into singing and cry aloud. You who have not labored.
Hola, how? Wagwan. So yeah, more rambling coming at you. And like always, I have no real intention with this when I hit play or record. And just be sitting here and I'm like, well, let me hit record. Let me play some tunes by Midnight, Vaughn Benjamin. A man who produced immaculate music that is ever relevant. Music that was released years ago that is relevant to right now. And so I post his music a lot. He's pretty much the only thing I listen to because we must stay informed, and it happens to be in this age, in this time, that most information channels are completely inaccurate and ultimately nothing but propaganda. Yeah. So when I make these videos, I don't really know who I'm to be talking to, who I'm to talk to, because, you know, there's a lot of you who don't need to hear anything I'm saying because you already know, you're all well with it. And then there's a lot of you who are clueless. And it's strange because I think those of you who are clueless have probably unfollowed me a long time ago and you'll never see this. But ultimately, I really just love to record these for myself as a means of reflection and refining and perfecting my ability to speak on matters that are hidden and beyond what is ordinarily perceived. And so this is ultimately all a practice in self-expression. You know, because there's a way that I can express myself through typing, through writing, and then there's a way to express through words. And it's challenging because the I wishes to present truth as I know it, but the I knows that this world is full of deception and rejection of truth. And there's a lot I would like to share and teach, but it's just often like casting pearls before swine. For instance, in this time we are suffering from sickness, illness, disease. We've got a plague going around. And there are solutions, even though the authorities don't really have much to offer us except for respirators and fucking poison and false recommendations. And so I would like to sit here and tell you that there are truly solutions. There really are truly cures. Most of them are simple, humble, and meek. Too simple to be accepted by the masses, and that really comes down to the ones we know as herbs. But you know, it's interesting that if you were to present this to people, and I have, and I will continue to do so, or maybe I will just let it all go. But you present people with the truth. You present them with, hey, there's these herbs that can help protect you and help heal you. And what do these intellectual people do who claim to be into science? They want scientific proof. They want, oh, where's your peer-reviewed studies? Where's this? Where's that? You know, you present them with this medicine, this herb that can help them, and they want to say, well, where's the proof? And, you know, there is no proving it because they're asking for proof that's already been there, but for some reason they don't want to recognize it or accept it. Because the peer-reviewed studies and proof for these herbs is thousands of years old. But for some reason these people have been deluded to believe only what is coming from these modern scientists. And I'll tell you myself, I am a scientist. I believe fully in science. And as a scientist, I will say that the scientific body of today is completely corrupted and mostly bullshit. Straight up. Most of what people accept from scientific bodies is bullshit because these scientific bodies are corrupted and biased with a hidden agenda. And that hidden agenda involves your sufferation. For instance, I've gone crazy over here presenting you with urine therapy. And you might think it's insane. I don't blame you. When I first heard about it, I did too. And if you search it online, there's a shit ton of misinformation. These scientists kind of will say that a lot of the articles I see from modern scientific sites will break down the chemical composition of urine, and they'll say it's, I mean, when you break it down, you see what's in there, and what's in there is all gold. It's all goodness. And then they'll go on to say, but there's no proof or anything that this can work. Like, meanwhile, you know, these same molecules and same substances in other sources will say that, yeah, these are things we need, these are things we will benefit from. So then these scientists will say urine has these things in it, but we can't say it's of any benefit. And what do you mean? Are you actually scientists? Because there actually is thousands of years of proof and validation and testimonials by people all across the world. I'm not sure if I remember his name. I think it's John Armstrong. And he actually published a book. He wrote it. And I believe it was in the 30s or something like that. But he cured people of diseases and ailments that were deemed incurable. Cancer, gangrene, diabetes. The list goes on and on and on. He cured these people by taking them into his setting and assisting them with fasting. and they fasted, and the only thing they consumed was their own urine. And he documented this. He did the real science. So when people say there's no scientific evidence or proof of urine, they're just not looking far enough. And their own prejudice and their own bias prevents them from seeing the truth. And this is true with all things, not just pee-pee. This is true with all things. People's prejudice and bias prevents them from realizing something. And so, you can call me a crazy pee drinker. But when the truth comes out, you're going to know that I presented you with something that's invaluable. I presented you with something that will save lives if they would heed it. And it's nothing of my own. It's just, this is thousands of years old. I stumbled upon it, and rather than letting my prejudice and my bias and my aversion get in the way, I said, hey, let me actually be a scientist. Because people talk about science, but what they fail to do is actually experiment. They formulate their hypothesis and they automatically jump to a conclusion, and that's that. They fail to actually experiment. And so many, many years ago in 2013, when I was first introduced to the concept of urine therapy, I was shocked. But I investigated it. I researched it. I read the true sources. And I tried it out. And I continued to try it out. I continued to experiment. And I reached conclusions. And the conclusions are that the claims are true. This is a miracle medicine. This is something that could cure damn near everything. And that's not a hyperbole. This is real. This is real. This is a real thing. So, you don't have to jump on board and start drinking all your pee, but just know, let this be a seed in your mind to know that when all else fails, hopefully you remember this. Because it can very well revive you from your deathbed. It can very well bring you from the brink of death back to life. The book by John Armstrong is called The Water of Life. And it's thoroughly scientific. This man cured incurable diseases by simply having people abstain from eating and drinking only their pee. And so the reason I share this is because there are countless individuals who are suffering at the hands of these false authorities with their fake cures and their fake science. And they don't have to suffer. They don't have to. So let's put urine aside. Let's talk about a couple other things that are crucial. And if you can heed them and accept them, they may very well not only save your life, but also accelerate it and evolve it so that you may come to be your fullest and purest and truest expression of the eternal spirit. So the two primary tools I'd like to make mention of is the science and practice of fasting. There is not a medicine in the world that will be discovered or invented that can be found to be superior to the power of fasting. And the power of fasting is the power of your own being, your own vessel, your own body, which is created by the Most High. And let me sidetrack here. Let me sidetrack to the main track and just say that God is real. God is real. Let me say that one more time. God is real. And people for a long time have been saying this, and most of the world has laughed at it and said, oh, how could, there's all these blah, blah, blahs to explain away. And it's a shame. It's a shame. But it's also incredibly beautiful because all those atheists, all these people, these materialists, they are all expressions of God too. So it's a very peculiar thing that God has done what he has done and does what he does. So that's primary. Throw out everything else and start tuning into God. Everyone. And again, this video is probably maybe being watched by someone who already knows this. And whoever needs to know this probably unfollowed me a long time ago and will never see this. But I believe in word, sound, power. I believe in the interconnectedness of all things. And I believe that me just speaking this right here, even if I do not upload it, it has an effect, and it ripples out and it reaches every eye in some way or another. And I also must continually stoke I faith that everything is taken care of. It matters not if I say nothing or not. And here I am saying something, so I guess it's to be. I guess this is it. So with God being real, not only is that true, but also our conception of God, if we do believe and know and have faith that there is God, our conception of God is often extremely limited. And so if we do believe in God, now and always and forever is the time to continually expand upon that, for the realization to grow and broaden, so that the truth may be seen in its fullest, and known in its fullest, and lived in its fullest. And it's heavy duty, baby. It's heavy duty. See, because, the rejection of God enables everyone to carry on with their bullshit. But when you really accept the fact, your whole life is called into question, you must make adjustments. And the lower nature resists that. But we're not here to remain low. We're here to climb and to grow. We're here to ascend. We're here to improve our ways, to improve our livity, our lifestyle, to improve everything, ourselves and the world around us. And we're here to heed to a greater will, a greater power. We're here to put aside our little wants. We're here to transform our little wants into higher action. So God is real, and He designed your vessel to be perfect. But we've gone astray, and so we deal with imperfection, we deal with illness, we deal with disease. And so if we want to come back to trueness, we have to give up things. And in giving those things up, because our true core being is inherently perfect and pure, when we give up the things that are contaminating and tainting and distorting our perfection, when we give those things up, perfection automatically comes forth. You see, this journey isn't so much about gaining more or getting more. It's about letting go. It's about unlearning what we've been taught and told. Unlearning the self-destructive beliefs. Unlearning the destructive habits we all have. Unlearning the false information. Unlearning the worldly intelligence. So that we may step into a supreme intelligence. An intelligence that does not harm anyone. An intelligence that provides for all. And that higher intelligence includes much about nature and health and well-being. And so the two most powerful healing modalities, and not only healing, but also, I'm not sure of the word, but you don't need these things only when you're sick. They are also beneficial when you are well, to improve wellness, to increase the self. And it's an amazing thing because they're an absence. They're an absence of what we think we need to improve ourselves. And fasting isn't just about not eating food. Fasting is also abstaining from consuming certain media. Fasting from saying certain things. Fasting from listening to certain things. Fasting from certain activities. Fasting is also largely about prayer and communion and meditation. Because while you're not eating, You have time to do. And what is it that is most important to do? It is not things, it is not actions. It is prayer, meditation, contemplation, introspection, etc., etc. These things are truly what is most important, and the culture and the society will tell us the complete opposite. And so yeah, know this, that fasting is worth more than anything in many ways, and it's completely free. But it's not the most comfortable thing. But I'll tell you what, if you can go with it and try it out, you may find something very profound. Even one day of fasting, I bet you your wild mind that bothers you may quiet down and settle. All of a sudden you may become aware of the profound power that you hold within your very breath. And so the next crucially important thing to learn, study, investigate, and implement is herbs and plants. They don't cost anything except for a little investment in, say, seeds or care. Because the thing about herbs, like where you are right now, definitely look them up, research them, and order them online and get yourself a supply. But ultimately, we should be cultivating them and growing them everywhere. There's no excuse for not having medicinal herbs growing everywhere. No excuse. The only excuse is I believe in something else. I believe in Babylon. I believe in the authorities. I believe in wasting my time. Look, let me tell you something. In order to grow medicinal herbs, it'll take less than 5 minutes of effort. Seriously. You can have a medicinal herb that'll grow for generations, year after year after year, and it takes less than 5 minutes of effort to establish. How profound is it that the most valuable things actually require nearly nothing to attain and sustain? Whereas all the things that we think we really want and need require all this slaving to gain. And what is the gain? Nothing. It's a loss. So yeah, let me stress it. Herbs are extremely important. And finally, what I really want to express, and this is the one that's really going to probably bother you, or not. Again, these videos are probably not going to be seen by who needs to hear them, and whoever is hearing them is probably already with it. And this is something that you could go on and on and on with the defenses and the arguments and the this and the that, and oh my God, it's. But let me just tell you again, and this is from personal experience, investigation, study, thorough. And I have to stay here that in addition to the power of urine, the power of herbs, the power of fasting, it is of paramount importance to give up the consumption of flesh. It is of paramount importance to stop eating meat. Eggs and milk are still on the table. However, where eggs and milk come from require a great deal of investigation and rectifying. Because even though eggs and milk are a pure thing, the way we produce them and distribute them and consume them is horrible. Milk can be a medicine. but the milk that is available to us is poison. And so the vegans have their ideology, and a large part of it is true. A great deal of veganism is out of their fucking mind and disconnected from reality. But a great deal of what vegans go on about is very, very accurate. What's not accurate is the propaganda that milk is not good for us. The milk of this day that is taken from raped and abused cows and then homogenized and pasteurized and modified and all these things, yeah, we've taken a pure thing and we've tainted it. Just like everything else in this age, we've taken pure things and tainted them. And the same goes for eggs. Eggs from happy, well-treated, respected chickens is a good, sustainable, regenerative food. However, all that being said, the eggs that you can buy in the store, they're bloody. And where they're coming from is destroying the ecosystem upon which we all depend on. And you get what you give. What you reap is what you sow. And so we really, really, really need to adjust how we relate to animals and to the natural world. And perhaps I could go on and on and on, and maybe I will, but believe it or not, accept it or not, one of the best things you can absolutely fucking do is give up eating flesh. The only thing it's doing for you is it tastes good, and it's poisoning your body, it's weakening your immune system, it's destroying your spirit, it's destroying your vessel. And recently, within this past year, there's been this massive wave, this propagandic agenda, this massive mimetic movement of all these people who have been on the plant-based thing for so long and have fallen back into consuming flesh. And it's very sad. It's very, very sad. Really good people, really well-intentioned people somehow have fallen back into eating flesh. And it's sad. The human vessel does not require flesh to be optimally functioning. And the thing is, a lot of the evidence for this movement of returning to eating meat is superficial sensations. Because it's not simply a matter of just giving up meat and then you're going to be healthy and well. No. The thing about consuming plants, it's not just about eating not meat. It's about eating plant-based, but eating plant-based appropriately and accurately. That means preparing things in the right way, combining things in the right way, consuming things in the right way. And so we have a great deal to learn. Because for the most part, we've just been operating under just let's shovel it in our mouth. We just love to eat. And eating is a sacred act. It's a sacred thing. But we've profaned it. And we've lost touch with the magic of communion with the Creator through creation. And so eating is one of the primary things that leads us to our death, leads us to disease. But eating can also be a primary means of communing with the Creator. And if you give up meat, you really won't lose much. And ultimately you'll find you won't miss much. And if you learn to eat plants correctly, you learn how to live it, not diet. We learn how to live it appropriately. We learn how to truly take care of ourselves. You won't run into the problems people have run into. Because people have gone from not necessarily eating plants appropriately, not necessarily eating pure and clean, despite being plant-based, they haven't really purified. And they haven't gone through the process of removing the blockages, removing the contaminations from their vessel. And this process of cleansing is often very uncomfortable. And if you take these sensations at stock value, at face value, you'll think that the plant-based thing is not working. You'll think you're losing energy. You'll think it's failing. But really, you're being purified. You're moving through. It's tapas. You're being purified so that you may be coming to a more supreme state, a more balanced state, a more well state. And the thing with these superficial sensations that seems to be supporting the hypothesis that meat is good for us is similar to maybe like the initial days of consuming, say, cocaine, to where you bump cocaine and it makes you feel great, invincible, powerful. But that feeling is temporary, and ultimately you are destroying your vessel. So the same goes for meat. Meat has a certain energy in it that can be consumed and make you feel like, I'm with it. But really what's happening long term is no bueno. No bueno. And really all that I'm saying is not even half of the story. The real revelations that these practices and these abstentions, the real revelations that these can produce are beyond words. And it's certain epiphanies that can come up within. And these epiphanies regard nature and how it really is. Who we really are in the great web of life. And the thing too about fasting and plant-based living, they all fail without God. So many people have given up meat and jumped onto the plant-based thing for vain reasons, for vanity. So don't do these things just to be healthy, just to have a better body, just to be more attractive, just to be whatever. Do these things in a way to honor yourself and the Supreme Self. Do these things in a way to connect. That's what's going to fill in the blanks. Because if you just give up something that you're so addicted to and try to get by cold turkey, it's probably not going to work. But if you give these things up and you surrender and attune and strive to connect with the Most High and all of its creation, then you'll be filled. Then you'll be nourished. Then you'll be satisfied. Because it's been said somewhere or another where that man does not live by bread alone. Food is a medium. And right now in this age, the scientists have broken it down to claim that the food is what's given us all of our energy. The calories, the carbohydrates, the sugars, these are giving us the energy. The proteins, etc., the vitamins, the minerals. And yes, these things are all important. However, it's not the whole shebang. The food is a medium. And the energy that really is sustaining us is not measured or cited by modern science. And yeah, this isn't some moralistic trip. This isn't some, me wanting to convert people. This is just something that I have found and know. And I don't even know if I can explain it, because nothing I'm saying is new or original. It's just coming out of me right now for you who may hear it. But just know, if you've seen this, these are some seeds, and I hope they sprout and take hold. And I hope your well-being expands exponentially, infinitely. In peace, love, clarity, truth, inner and overstanding. Blessed love.